Estranged is the #1 movie in Nigeria. This movie was released in 2023. It was recently added to Netflix, and everybody seems to like this film from what I have seen so far. What do you think?
I like this movie. I think it was well written.
Yeah.
At first, I was reluctant to see it because I cannot really trust the hype sometimes. But when I watched the movie, I was pleasantly entertained. I was surprised, and I did a bit of it, especially the story. I'm a sucker for good story, and this was a good story.
I was reluctant to watch this film at first because I saw a clip of it, and I was like, is this going to be a kind of film that I will enjoy? But it turned out to be really good.
So this movie follows Ebere and her husband. So when Ebere and her husband welcomed their first child, a baby girl, the couple had a tough time adjusting to parenthood. We already know how it is. It's not easy. Unfortunately, while they're still battling with the baby crying all night and waking up to feed and all of that, her husband had to go to work. His work called that he had to be in Calabar because he's the only one that can solve it. I'm like, this digital age. So you have to leave Ebere to take care of their little one all by herself. Ebere knew she would need help, but her husband was against the idea of hiring a nanny. Instead, he suggests that her mother comes over, but she wants his sister instead.
So he calls the sister, but she's unavailable because she has a business trip in Abuja. So he's like, the only option now is that you call your mother. Ebere and her mother, they have been apart from each other for many years now. Ebere even said that for over 15 years now, she has not even lived with her mother. She doesn't know what her mother is like. So he calls her mother, and her mother is happy to help. Ebere, of course, is hesitant about the idea of her mother coming to this house. Her mother she has not seen and spoken to for years. But when her mother arrives, they reopen old wounds, and while they try to coexist together, they just try to sort out their differences. The reason why I did not want to see this film at first is because of a clip where the mother was telling her about pumping breast milk. I thought it was actually the mother-in-law at first. So when the film started and I saw that, oh, it's actually her mother, and the man was like, I don't want a nanny in my home to touch my child. I'm like, so it is your fault. When the movie started, do you have any idea of the mother's drama with the daughter in the first place?
When it showed us that the mother was not coming to see the girl in boarding school when she was younger, I was like, oh, I understand this. I was only saying it the other day that, oh, when I was in boarding school, a lot of people really felt bad when their parents did not come. I don't really understand because my parents always come for me, but I saw the pain a lot of people were facing that, oh, their parents will not come for you. It takes a toll on the child, but not knowing that there's even more layers to the mother-daughter dynamic. That's why I like the story, because the characters that were presented before us are far from perfect. They're not perfect, and they're not trying to be perfect. They're just being themselves. And I love this kind of story because these people exist in real life. So even when the husband was saying, oh, no nanny, yes, there are men that say no nanny. When the husband was like, well, I cannot cook. Yes, there are people that cannot cook, and there are wives that are like, I wish she could cook more. I wish she could help me around the house more. The entire fight for who's going to wake up and take care of the baby. The girl was so imperfect. I was not abusing her like a stupid daughter, a stupid daughter, a stupid daughter. But that is the entire point of the movie. These characters are not perfect, and they're not even trying to be perfect. So you can take your perfection somewhere else. The mother as well, even though I thought she was going to be the bad guy in this entire story, she turned out to be the best person in the story. Yeah. Although she's not perfect as well, because she also stuck to her old ways of taking care of babies, her own opinionated self. This entire film was well written. I can see that, okay, they put in a lot of thought into making a film that is relatable to a lot of people. You might want to judge Ebere and her decisions at first, but then again, if you cannot relate to it, you might not really understand it, but you should try not to judge her, because what if you and your mother have been away for so many years, or a complete stranger comes into your home and start giving you suggestions? It's going to take time for you to open up to this person, especially when there is already a little bit of bad history. At first, I was like, but your mother is trying. That was what I was saying, Ebere, that, oh, but she's trying right now. She's not perfect, but she's trying. That's what I like about this movie, because a lot of people do not want you to talk about or question anything your parents do. Yes, parents are not perfect, but people can feel bad. People can be traumatized by these people that were guardians. So you can be upset, you can be let down by these guardians, and you are allowed to feel angry with them. You're allowed to question their ways. So yeah, I like that this story was too, because a lot of Nigerians, especially on Twitter, they're always like, oh, why would you, your mother is this is your mother, no matter how she's your mom. Yes, she's your mother, but you're allowed to feel how you want to feel. I'm not on Ebere's side though, but I can understand Ebere. It's good that I was a soft, I said, yeah, it's stupid girl, your mother knows it to you. But at the same time, I cautioned myself. I said, wait, this is her story. You don't have to understand it, you don't have to like it, but you can respect it. That this person felt a certain way. That was her formative years when her mother left her. Just because you have a good relationship with your mother doesn't mean that it's like that for every single person.
Do you think the husband's decision of calling the mother to come over, even though your spouse was like, no, was good? Because I just felt like he should not have done that.
I would have been very pissed because what the mother was worse to her than how the story was portrayed. I would have been very pissed for my husband. But I think that before the man called her, the mom, he already knows the story to an extent, and it feels like, okay, it's time for reconciliation. You're having a daughter as well. What if the daughter too does not want to ever talk to you again in this life? So I think that was his intention, that it can work. If this grandmother sees her granddaughter and her mom, like three generations of women in one house, I think they can sort it out. And yeah, it's not bad how he called at the end of the day.
Yeah, now you said it makes sense for me. Queen was so stellar in her role of playing the mother/grandmother here. She was able to body this very imperfect person that still believes in her ways. This is how I know it to be, and it was just nice to see her play these roles. I think it's the first time I'm seeing her play mother role. I've not seen that.
That was the biggest shock for me, that Queen, the person we saw growing up, like we're getting old, Queen that plays the young girl. I'm surprised to see that she's now playing mom. This movie, we've already talked about a lot of things already. We already touched about the abandonment issues. We already talked about forgiveness. Also, there was a theme of domestic violence here, so you should really tread carefully. Trigger warnings on that part. Yeah, I think everyone brought their A game to this movie. Every actor, they tried their best in their own way. Although at the point I was like, oh, the husband is kind of like the weak link here, but he did his best as well.
I think the person that I didn't really like was her friend.
My friend did not play any major role as well.
But anytime she came, I felt like she was making the entire scene dull at some point. I could understand what was going on with her, but at the same time, I just felt like the acting there was not so good, in my opinion. Overall, it was good, and everything was shot actually inside the house. It was a nice film too, honestly. And
it's a simple but good movie. I think it's worth the hype.
Yeah, it is very worth the hype.
I'll give it a 4 out of 5. It's worth the hype. They tried. It's a good movie, especially the story. Yeah, I liked it.
I'll give it 4 stars as well, because it's another relatable, original Nigerian story being told in a good way, and I like it. It has its flaws. That's why I'm giving it 4 stars, because there were little flaws in the film. It's not perfect, but it did its best in telling us a nice story about forgiveness and abandonment and domestic violence and just moving on with life.
If you have seen Strange, let us know what you think about it. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Until next time, do take good care of yourself.
Bye.